In a tranquil suburb of Texas, the illusion of a perfect family crumbled when a respected police officer's dark secret came to light, triggering a catastrophic chain of events. This narrative delves into the depths of betrayal, the struggle for truth, and the heartbreaking choices that ensue when trust is shattered. Darius Holloway, a 44-year-old veteran cop, was seen as a pillar of the community. His wife, Simone, a 40-year-old devoted homemaker, effortlessly balanced the demands of her husband's high-pressure career while lovingly caring for their only daughter, Nia. At 13, Nia was a vibrant girl with a love for drawing and storytelling, but she faced significant challenges due to her intellectual developmental disorder. To those in their close-knit community, the Holloways appeared as the epitome of familial bliss. Behind this disguise, however, disturbing changes plagued Darius. His demeanor shifted to one of tension and distance, and his prolonged absences began to raise alarm bells in Simone's mind. While dismissing her concerns as stress from his job, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The cracks in their marriage were deepening, and Simone unknowingly approached the brink of a horrifying revelation. Weeks passed, and Darius's behaviors grew more worrying. He would linger near Nia's room and engage with her in ways that felt troubling to Simone. That sweet ignorance enveloped Nia, while her mother sensed the darkness looming closer. The final blow came one night when Simone overheard a conversation between Darius and Nia, the words, "our little secret," echoing hauntingly in her ears, igniting a wave of terror that she couldn't ignore. Simone's heart sank further when a bottle of Nia's favorite lotion fell from Darius's uniform pocket. Fear turned to despair as she grappled with the implications. This was a truth she wasn't ready to confront, but the silent vow she made to protect her child surged to the forefront of her mind. One fateful night, as dread loomed over her, she heard whispers coming from Nia's room. Driven by instinct, she stepped inside and was met with a scene that shattered her existence. Darius's inappropriate behavior toward Nia became unmistakable. The room felt like a prison of horrors. Rage consumed Simone as she shielded her daughter and confronted her husband, now her greatest enemy. Darius attempted to intimidate her into silence, but Simone's resolve hardened, igniting a protective fire she hadn't known she possessed. Days turned into a turbulent whirlwind of emotions as Simone realized that her husband's deception ran deeper than she could have imagined. One cold evening, she found herself standing by the doorway, a calculated plan sparking in her mind as she watched Darius enter Nia's room again. There was no turning back now. The moment she retrieved his service weapon and confronted him marked a point of no return. "Darius, it's over," she called, and as he raised his hands, she felt no fear, only a storm of emotions. But the moment slipped into chaos. In the heat of the confrontation, gunfire erupted. 14 shots rang out, each a pulse of anguish and sorrow loud enough to be heard throughout the house. The air thick with smoke and blood bore witness to a twisted desperation etched into Simone's being. When the silence fell and the echoes of shots faded, a new horror set in. Guilt washed over her, drowning out the rage. What had she done? In a moment marked by passion and protection, she had taken 2 lives, one of betrayal and one of innocence. In the stillness, she faced the moral and emotional ruin that had been left behind. Nia, sweet Nia, had been swept along in her mother's maelstrom of pain. As the realization of these actions settled in, Simone felt an overwhelming need to ensure Nia could find peace in an unthinkable aftermath. Increase into despair, she made the final decision that would seal her fate forever. When police arrived, the scene was both tragic and haunting. Simone sat in the living room, threads of grief and disbelief woven into her expression, confessing her actions with chilling clarity. The narrative of a once harmonious family unraveled under the weight of despair and betrayal, ultimately leaving them as symbols of how secrets can carve deep chasms in relationships. As the trial commenced, communities both argued for and against Simone. Was she a protector desperately trying to save her daughter, or was she a murderer deserving of punishment? The discussions echoed sentiments of tragedy, abuse, and the consequences of a shattered trust. The verdict would never quite capture the nuances of a harrowing tale. It would ring in the ears of those left behind long after the courtroom doors closed. Ultimately, Simone was sentenced to 25 years for actions that would forever alter the landscape of their lives. The debates surrounding her case persisted, not just of guilt or innocence, but of the complex intersection of love, betrayal, and the dire lengths a mother would go to in protecting her child. As the dust settled on the courtroom drama, the community grappled with the aftermath of the Holloway tragedy. Vigils were held for Nia, her life cherished in a collective remembrance. Strangers gathered to share stories, fostering a spirit of unity in grief, illuminated by flickering candles that symbolized hope and love that transcended her untimely end. She was remembered as a bright soul stifled by an unimaginable darkness, a young girl with dreams that would never be realized. In stark contrast, the perception of Darius changed overnight. Once a figure of respect and authority, he became a cautionary tale about the dangers that often lurk behind closed doors and the violence that can stem from manipulation and abuse. His actions, laden with betrayal, cast a shadow over his former reputation, fracturing the community's trust in law enforcement and the very institutions meant to protect them. Conversations shifted, with many acknowledging the harsh reality of how power can corrupt and how whispers of abuse often go unheard until it's too late. Simone's story became a national conversation piece, igniting debates about family dynamics, mental health, and the impact of trauma on decision-making. Advocates rallied around her, framing her as a woman who had been profoundly failed by a system that neglected warning signs of abuse until the violence erupted. The narrative of a broken family served as a vital reminder of the necessity for open communication and the dangers of hidden secrets. Despite her conviction, Simone maintained her belief that she acted out of love, a love that propelled her toward an act of desperation, even if it meant transcending the boundary of morality. While incarcerated, she found solace in writing letters, pouring out her heart over the years of mental struggle and emotional torment she had faced, hoping that her story would serve as a warning for other families teetering on the edge of similar horrors. Others, however, viewed Simone as a tragic antagonist, someone who let her emotions dictate life and death decisions without regard for the consequences. Her case became a flashpoint in discussions about culpability versus justification. Many believed that no matter the provocation, the act of taking a life could not be condoned. This division fueled further conversations about how society can best support victims of domestic abuse, ensuring that they feel safe enough to speak out before tragedy strikes. Simone's sentence bore down heavy over the years, the confinement forcing her to reckon with her choices in quiet solitude. Those who once supported her began to fall away as public opinion shifted, leaving Simone to navigate her own path of redemption or further despair. 5 years later, as the possibility of parole approached, she became increasingly aware of both the pain she had inflicted and the legacy of her actions. The haunting reality of what had transpired in her home would forever resonate in the memories of those she left behind. Each day of her incarceration reminded her that while the world had moved on, her family remained forever altered. When the day of her parole hearing arrived, a mix of trepidation and hope enveloped her. She prepared to face a board that would ultimately decide her fate, reflecting on the lessons learned from her tragic experience. She spoke candidly about her love for Nia, the urge to protect her daughter, and the devastating consequences that had arisen from her desperate actions. The tears streaming down her face served as a testament to her remorse, but also to her unwavering love. In the end, she was granted parole after serving 15 years, with many conditions intended to aid her in rebuilding her life outside the prison walls. However, as she stepped into the bright light of freedom, the harshness of reality hit hard. The burden of her past loomed large, and no amount of time could erase the scars left by betrayal and loss. Simone's journey toward healing began in earnest, attending therapy, sharing her story with others who had endured similar trials, and advocating for abused children in her community. The road to redemption would be long and fraught with challenges, but with each step forward, she hoped to forge a new legacy, transforming her tragedy into advocacy, ensuring that others might find the help she wished she had received in her time of need. Ultimately, the story of the Holloways became one etched in the consciousness of a community, a constant reminder of the complexities of familial relationships, the insidious nature of secrets, and the importance of vigilance in the face of potential tragedy. While the shadows of betrayal and violence would never fully dissipate, Simone envisioned a future that honored Nia's memory, a future built on understanding, awareness, and the uncompromising belief that such horrors should never again be allowed to hide behind the veneer of normalcy. In the quiet moments, as she recounted her past, the words lingered like echoes. She did not have to kill the child for the corpse's sin. Yet, circumstances had spun a different narrative, one that would continue to resonate, cautioning against the fragility of trust and the harrowing consequences of despair. As Simone attempted to reintegrate into society, she was met with a mix of skepticism and empathy. Having once been a figure entwined in a remembered domestic bliss, the woman who emerged bore the weight of her choices like a shroud. Local media followed her every move, some framing her release as a chance for redemption, while others viewed it as an affront to the memories of Nia and Darius. One day, as she walked through her old neighborhood, a place now heavy with the ghosts of her past, Simone took time to reflect. She remembered good times, laughter shared over family dinners, and the simple joys of childhood creativity she once nurtured in Nia. Each block seemed to whisper secrets of the family she once had, a juxtaposition to the peace she sought in the present. Simone felt an overpowering urge to honor Nia's memory in genuine ways. She began volunteering at a local community center, focusing on children with developmental disabilities, leveraging her lived experience to foster support for families navigating the complexities of care. Through art and storytelling workshops, she created safe spaces for children to express themselves, much like Nia had done through her drawings. With every session, she formed connections with families, sharing her story in the hopes that her experience might resonate and help others in distress. One evening, a mother approached her after an art session, tears shining in her eyes as she described the overwhelming stress of caring for a child with similar challenges as Nia faced. Simone listened intently, offering comfort while internally grappling with her own unresolved grief. This genuine connection opened a new chapter for Simone. She crafted a support group in honor of Nia, named after her daughter. Nia's Circle, where mothers, fathers, and caregivers could come together, share stories, and learn from one another. The group quickly gained momentum, providing a platform for discussions about mental health, resilience, and the importance of vigilance and communication in protecting children. As her community work gained traction, Simone was invited to speak at conferences focusing on domestic violence and child protection. She told her story with raw honesty, the terror of her husband's betrayal, the desperate choices made in the heat of passion, and the enduring love she felt for Nia. Her powerful testimony sparked conversations about identifying signs of abuse and advocating for preventive measures within families. In time, some who had once condemned her began to change their perspectives. They saw a woman fighting against the shadows of her past. They found her advocacy efforts compelling and crucial for raising awareness in the community. She worked tirelessly to dismantle the stigma surrounding families impacted by abuse, sharing resources and helping others navigate their own turbulent waters. Despite these strides, moments of darkness persisted. Simone often faced sleepless nights plagued by nightmares, memories of that horrific night replaying in her mind like a haunting melody. Grief and guilt were her constant companions, an echo of loss that never felt quite extinguished. Therapy became an essential anchor, pushing her to confront her feelings and facilitating healing she never thought possible. Then came a pivotal moment that would further shape Simone's path. An unexpected letter arrived in the mail, its return address leading to Darius's family. The note was a plea, seeking to meet. The idea made Simone's heart race. She wasn't sure she was ready to face those who had been affected by her actions. Yet something inside pushed her to consider it, a hope that perhaps dialogue could lead to healing on both sides, a balm for the deep wounds carved into their lives. Reluctantly, she agreed to meet, and when the day arrived, she found herself sitting across from Darius's mother, a woman whose pain mirrored her own. They exchanged stories, shared grief, and faced the unbearable weight of their losses together. This encounter became a transformative experience, opening Simone's heart to the understanding that healing did not mean absolution. It meant acknowledging the past while working toward a better future for herself and others. As months turned into years, Simone continued to grow into her new role as an advocate. Nia's circle became known in the community as a pivotal resource, and she collaborated with local authorities to establish protocols that would prevent similar horrors from happening again. Her name, once whispered with disdain, was now being spoken with respect as she led initiatives aimed at systemic change. The ongoing discussions of her past, the dual narratives of victimhood and perpetration, remained complex. Everyone carried fragments of the story, and while some were forever haunted by the tragedy of it all, others were inspired by the resilience Simone displayed in her fight for justice, awareness, and change. Through it all, Simone maintained a promise to herself and her daughter to ensure that little Nia's spirit lived on, reminding others of the need for vigilance, compassion, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. The tale of tragedy that once defined her life became a vehicle for awakening and education, transforming sorrow into purpose. In her quiet moments, Simone reflected on the turbulent journey. She chose to embrace her past, understanding that while it held pain, it also held the power to drive change. Each day became an opportunity to honor Nia's memory in positive ways, pushing through the shadows that threatened to envelop her. As her advocacy work flourished, Simone began reaching out to other communities, sharing her message at national conferences and appearing on podcasts, detailing her journey and the critical need for open conversations around abuse, mental health, and familial responsibilities. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Many resonated with her story, inspired by her courage to speak out and to transform her darkest moments into a mission of hope. Through these interactions, Simone connected with countless families who had faced similar struggles. She listened intently, offering guidance and support, and in turn gaining valuable insights about their experiences. Each story and each voice added depth to her understanding of the nuances involved in child abuse and domestic violence, enriching her approach to advocacy and community building. Recognizing the power of storytelling, Simone launched an online platform dedicated to sharing survivor narratives. Voices of Resilience became a sanctuary for individuals willing to share their stories, allowing them to express themselves while forging connections with others who had walked similar paths. The site quickly gained traction, transforming into a community-centered space that provided resources and guidance for those affected by abuse. Simone's efforts did not go unnoticed. Organizations focused on social justice and child protection began partnering with her, recognizing the impact of her work. They invited her to participate in legislative discussions, advocating for improved protective laws for children and spousal abuse victims, putting the urgency of her mission into action. This newfound camaraderie fueled her desire to fight for systemic change on a larger scale, and Simone was energized by the potential to effect meaningful reforms. However, amid her rise as an advocate, moments of doubt would creep in. There were times when she questioned whether what she was doing was enough, if she could ever fully escape the shadow of her past. During these times, she turned to her support network, a mixture of friends, family, and fellow advocates who reminded her of the importance of progress over perfection. One of the most poignant moments of her journey came during a community event she organized in Nia's memory. Speakers shared their stories of survival and the impact of domestic violence in their lives, creating a powerful atmosphere of solidarity. In a moving tribute, Simone unveiled a mural commemorating her daughter's life, adorned with Nia's artwork and the words, "Love always wins." The mural became a cherished focal point for the community, a lasting reminder of resilience and strength, and a place where families could gather to share their experiences and foster support. As word of her advocacy spread beyond Texas, Simone was approached to write a memoir detailing her life. Initially hesitant, she soon recognized that writing would allow her to process what she had endured while providing a platform for her story to reach an even wider audience. With each chapter, she reflected on the moments that changed her life, weaving in insights she had gained through years of introspection and healing. The process of writing the memoir became cathartic, allowing her to explore not only her grief, but her desire to forge a path toward forgiveness for herself, for Nia, and even for Darius. Though she had forever lost her child and the life she once knew, she wanted readers to understand the beauty and resilience that can emerge even from tragedy. Her message resonated: healing is possible and love can triumph over darkness. On the day of the book's release, Simone held a launch event at the community center where it all began. With friends, family, and supporters in attendance, she shared personal stories, read excerpts from her memoir, and expressed her gratitude to everyone who had walked alongside her. Each hand raised in support felt like a step forward in uniting a community often burdened by secrecy and stigma. As people lined up for signings, Simone looked into the eyes of those who had once silently suffered and realized that her journey had come full circle. It was no longer just about her, it was about a shared evolution from pain to purpose. Each story told and listened to create a wall hanging of resilience that connected them all. With her memoir, Simone not only honored Nia's memory but also initiated conversations that would lead to increased awareness and vital change. She became a sought-after speaker, inspiring others to find their voice and take a stand against injustices within their own homes. Years passed, and while Simone continued to navigate the complex world of grief and advocacy, she found moments of joy amidst the heartache. A new relationship blossomed, rooted in mutual understanding and respect. With time, she learned that it was possible to once again open her heart, allowing love to find its way back into her life. Simone's story serves as a powerful reminder that while the shadows of the past remain, the future is shaped by our choices and our ability to rise above pain. Even in the deepest sorrow, there is the potential for healing, growth, and the ability to help others find their way back to the light. As the years rolled on, Simone solidified her role as a beacon of hope in the community. With every child she met at Nia's circle, with every parent she supported through moments of doubt, she created waves of change that began to alter the cultural narrative surrounding abuse. It wasn't merely her story, but a multitude of voices coming together to advocate for better understanding and resources for families in need. Inspired by her work, local schools began implementing educational programs that raised awareness about respectful relationships, the importance of recognizing signs of abuse, and the necessity of open communication. These initiatives encouraged children to speak up, fostering environments where they felt safe and supported. For Simone, witnessing this transformation was a profound source of fulfillment, proof that change was indeed possible. One sunny afternoon, while overseeing a workshop at the community center, Simone's heart swelled with pride as she watched young children engaged in creative activities, free to express themselves without fear. She saw fragments of Nia's spirit each time a child smiled or created something beautiful. Those moments underscored her belief that life could still be vibrant and filled with joy, despite the shadows of loss and grief always lurking in the background. Simone also continued to push for legal reforms to strengthen protections for children, working closely with legislators and advocacy groups. Her tireless efforts culminated in a significant policy change that expanded the rights of abuse survivors and provided better resources for those escaping dangerous domestic situations. As she stood on the steps of the Capitol, speaking to a gathering of supporters and advocates, Simone felt a sense of empowerment. She was using her voice for good, challenging the narrative of victimhood that had so long surrounded her. Throughout her journey, she learned the vital importance of self-care. Healing could not be rushed or ignored, and she took time to nurture her own well-being. She began practicing mindfulness and meditation, integrating these tools to help ground herself when memories of her past threatened to overwhelm. Regular check-ins with her therapist continued to provide a necessary outlet, a safe space to process her feelings and fears. A few years after the memoir's publication, Simone was invited to participate in a national documentary exploring the impact of domestic violence on families. Her heartfelt testimony and dedication to fostering change captured the attention of a wider audience, breathing life into conversations that had previously been relegated to whispered secrets. As people tuned in, the dialogue transformed. Discussions about accountability, dignity, and the necessity for systemic societal shifts became prevalent, gaining momentum in networks across the country. Acting as a consultant for the documentary, she worked alongside passionate filmmakers dedicated to shining a light on the realities of domestic abuse, drawing on her own experiences. The project evolved into a hauntingly beautiful depiction of survival, juxtaposing some of the stories she had encountered during her advocacy work. It resonated deeply across communities, sparking rallies and discussions centered on prevention, support for survivors, and breaking generational cycles of abuse. Amid her public efforts, private healing remained an essential part of Simone's life. The relationship she found blossomed slowly and beautifully. With each moment shared, she learned to navigate vulnerability and trust again. Together they built a life rooted in open dialogue, respect, and love. Dating someone who understood her journey provided a renewed sense of optimism. Their bond became a testament that even after unimaginable loss, one can rediscover intimacy and safety. As she approached the 10-year mark after the tragic events that reshaped her life, Simone curated a special memorial event in honor of Nia. This gathering, a celebration of life, aimed to honor not only her daughter but also all those whose voices had been silenced. Community members were invited to share stories, art, and messages of hope. Under a canopy of twinkling lights, the event came to life, filled with music, laughter, and heartfelt storytelling. It served as a cathartic moment for many, allowing them to acknowledge their pain while also celebrating resilience. As the evening flourished, Simone realized how far she had come. The sorrow that once engulfed her now coexisted with joy and gratitude. Standing at the forefront of the gathering, she delivered a heartfelt speech, her words resonating deeply amidst the flicker of candlelight. "Nia was a light," she said, her voice steady, yet emotional. "And in her memory, we will continue to shine brightness into the darkest corners of our lives. Through love, understanding, and advocacy, we can transform our collective grief into a force for good." As applause filled the air, Simone gazed at the faces illuminated by flickering candles, and she felt a profound sense of connection. Those who had once stood as mere acquaintances now felt like a united family, joined by shared experiences, strength, and unwavering support. The event marked not just a moment of reflection, but also a promise to keep fighting for those who needed advocacy, a promise to continue raising awareness about the realities of abuse, and a promise to ensure that Nia's spirit lived on through every act of kindness and courage shared within the community. As the night unfolded with tales of resilience and hope, tears mingled with laughter, creating an atmosphere rich with emotional complexity. Attendees were invited to contribute to a collective mural in honor of Nia, each painting a small piece that represented their commitment to supporting those affected by abuse. The painting gradually transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors, symbols of love, healing, and a shared promise to advocate for change. As the final strokes were added, Simone stepped back, admiring the flourishing artwork, every brushstroke telling a story reminiscent of her daughter's creativity and expressiveness. Seeing the community come together to honor Nia's memory filled her heart with warmth. She felt a sense of profound purpose blooming within her, rooted in the connection between vulnerability and communal strength. In the months following the memorial event, Simone's activism gained further momentum. She began to receive invitations from various organizations to speak nationally about her journey from tragedy to advocacy. Each engaging appearance became an opportunity to reach new audiences, ignite discourse around domestic violence, and emphasize the importance of compassion and vigilance regarding the well-being of families. Simone also collaborated with mental health professionals to develop resources for caregivers of children with developmental disabilities, addressing not only protective measures but also encouraging caregiver wellness. They made information readily available, ensuring families had the knowledge and tools they needed to navigate their challenges while prioritizing mental health and self-care. Every endeavor reinforced Simone's belief that open communication could prevent future tragedies. Her workshops highlighted the importance of developing trust between parents and children, while fostering environments where conversations could flow freely. Engaging activities encouraged families to discuss their fears, hopes, and dreams, laying the groundwork for supportive relationships. Through her dedication, Simone cultivated a network of fervent advocates who shared her vision. She organized annual conferences inviting speakers from various backgrounds: social workers, survivors, law enforcement, and educators, to ensure that discussions stayed multifaceted. Each conference served as fertile ground for generating fresh ideas and collaborative strategies to tackle abuse prevention. While her activism flourished, the emotional weight of her journey never fully dissipated. On quiet nights, memories of Nia often crept in, reminding Simone of the immense loss that had sparked her mission. Journaling became a powerful process for her. Through writing, she found clarity and healing, creating a ritual that bridged her past with her present. One winter evening, as Simone reflected on her 10-year journey, she decided to plan a retreat for Nia's circle. The purpose of the retreat was to provide caregivers with a space to recharge, reflect, and rebuild connections with both their children and themselves. Participants would enjoy activities such as yoga, art therapy, and facilitated discussions that highlighted their shared experience of seeking healing and hope. As they arrived at the serene countryside retreat location, one of the participants, a mother named Laura, expressed her fears. "I don't know how to keep my child safe. How can I protect them from what I experienced?" Simone recognized the echoes of her past in Laura's words. She gently placed a reassuring hand on Laura's shoulder and replied, "We take it one day at a time, together. Sharing our stories builds strength, and in sharing, we find a community that supports us in nurturing our children." Moved by the conversations, participants rallied around one another, forming bonds that transcended their fears. This retreat was a healing sanctuary, fostering conversations that not only focused on caring for their children, but also emphasized nurturing themselves as individuals. As the sun set over the horizon, casting a golden glow, Simone gathered everyone around a fire pit to reflect. Attendees shared their stories, moments of pain and struggle that ultimately led them to this safe haven. The warmth of the fire mirrored the sense of communal support that surrounded them, and laughter soon mingled with tears as they created a newfound solidarity. During that intimate circle, Simone unveiled an idea inspired by her experiences, establishing a scholarship program in Nia's name that would support education for children with developmental disabilities. With her project proposal shared among the group, enthusiasm sparked life in their faces. "We can ensure that our children have opportunities to learn and thrive," Simone declared, feeling hope flourish amidst the glow of the flames. As the retreat concluded, participants left rejuvenated and armed with new perspectives and goals. The scholarship initiative took root as a community effort, gathering donations and sponsorships to cultivate lasting change for children across various backgrounds. Simone felt invigorated, knowing that she was not only honoring Nia's legacy, but also paving pathways for the dreams of other children. Years later, as she stood at the podium during the inaugural scholarship award ceremony, the memories of her past washed over her like the waves of a serene ocean. In that moment, she realized that while her family had been irrevocably altered, the love that encapsulated Nia's spirit thrived within every life they impacted. Parents and children, once connected through their struggles, now gathered together as a united front, fostering a brighter future. With tears of joy rolled in her eyes, Simone addressed the audience with heartfelt gratitude. Today, we celebrate not just the achievements of these remarkable children, but also the love and resilience that have brought us together. Nia's spirit is alive within each of you. The determination to rise above adversity, to seek knowledge, and to support one another. This scholarship represents hope for our children and a commitment to ensuring they have every opportunity to thrive. The applause that erupted was deafening, echoing her words and affirming the collective strength of the community. Parents embraced their children, a testament to the latest victories and the promise of future possibilities. The children who received the scholarships beamed with pride, embodying the dreams and aspirations that Nia had once held, now spread across a new generation with hope and ambition. As the ceremony drew to a close, Simone felt a profound sense of fulfillment wash over her. The journey she embarked upon had brought her not only healing, but also a sense of purpose that extended far beyond her own story. By turning her pain into advocacy, she transformed from a grieving mother into a powerful catalyst for change, one that carried a message of hope, resilience, and solidarity. Months turned into years, and the scholarship program began making waves within the community. More children gained access to resources that enabled them to thrive academically and emotionally. Workshops and retreats became staples in the community, fostering dialogue about mental health, trauma, and support systems. As discussions surrounding child welfare, support for disabled children, and domestic violence continued to expand, Simone's impact rippled into nearby towns and cities. She was often invited to speak about the evolution of Nia's Circle and the scholarship program, emphasizing the need for collaboration among community members, organizations, and policymakers to bring lasting change. One particularly poignant moment came when she received an invitation from a national advocacy organization to keynote at their annual convention. The theme centered on voices raised against silence. As she prepared for the address, Simone reflected on her own journey, how she had once lived in silence and fear, only to find her voice through tragedy. On the day of the convention, an overwhelming sense of determination filled her as she approached the stage. Before her stood hundreds of people ready to listen. As she spoke passionately about her experiences, she wove in the stories of other survivors, illustrating how a chorus of voices could shatter the silence that so many had endured. Together we can create a world where children and families no longer have to live in fear, she declared. We can foster environments that celebrate communication and compassion, and offer resources to those in need. When we raise our voices collectively, we forge paths toward understanding, healing, and empowerment. We honor those like Nia by becoming advocates, by seeking justice, and by nurturing the next generation with love. Her speech ignited inspiration in those present, sparking fervent discussions on how to best address the layers of complexities facing vulnerable families. Attendees left the convention not only with new ideas, but with the fire of motivation to advocate for reform and resources in their own communities, fostering a network of advocates across the nation. Following her speech, numerous opportunities arose for Simone to collaborate with like-minded organizations. She joined forces with mental health experts to develop training programs for educators, focusing on recognizing signs of trauma among students and fostering supportive classroom environments. Her outreach extended beyond one community, catalyzing a movement toward creating trauma-informed practices in educational institutions throughout the region. Yet, even in the midst of her accomplishments, Simone always carved out time for self-reflection and healing. She continued to journal, documenting the ebb and flow of her emotions. As she wrote about her hopes and struggles, she discovered that healing was not a linear process, but a rich tapestry woven from joy, sorrow, loss, and triumph. The act of writing became both an anchor and a release, helping her navigate the complexities of being a public figure while still carrying the heartache of her past. In her quiet moments, as she recalled Nia's laughter, creativity, and spirit, Simone found peace in knowing that her daughter's legacy lived on not only through her scholarship program, but also through every life touched by their cause. Nia became a symbol of love and strength, and that emblem was now a catalyst for transformation, helping pave the ways toward brighter futures for many children and families. As she looked toward the horizon, Simone envisioned a world where every child could live without fear, where families could find support, and where the power of love could break down even the most formidable barriers. This vision fueled her passion and her drive, inspiring countless others to join her in the movement toward change. With every initiative, every conversation, and every shared story, Simone continued to cultivate a legacy rooted in compassion, understanding, and an unwavering commitment to protecting the most vulnerable. She had indeed transformed her tragic narrative into one of hope, resilience, and action, a lifelong journey bound by the memory of her beautiful daughter and the promise of a future grounded in love. If this story resonated with you or prompted reflection, consider subscribing to Shocking Crime Zone 24/7 for more gripping narratives that explore the complex and often dark aspects of human behavior. Your support helps keep important conversations alive. Don't forget to like and share to spread awareness and connect with others who are drawn to these profound tales. Together, we can foster understanding and empathy in our communities